For more on this, I want to bring in the congressman you just heard. Congressman Andy Biggs joins us. He did question Kim Cheatle, yesterday as a member of the Oversight Committee, and will be questioning Christopher Wray tomorrow as a member of the Judiciary Committee. Sir, good to have you with us.
Vince, good to be with you. Thanks for having me.
That must have been infuriating to have to stomach over those hours.
Yeah, very frustrating. And you saw it, because it wasn't just me. It was Democrats, Republicans, the most left people in Congress, the most right people in Congress, all very frustrated because her job is a no-fail position, and she failed, and she refused to give us any information.
Why do you think she waited until today to resign because it wasn't like she was productive yesterday. She didn't give you anything interesting. Why did she resign today?
Yeah, that's the interesting question. I'm beginning to think that she thought, well, I can just go in and stonewall the Congress and continue to gaslight American people, and then I can just go merrily on my way. That's all I can figure, because she probably rused the day that she chose to come in.
Yeah.
Instead of tendering a resignation.
Congressman,
she should have done immediately.
What, if anything, I know it was difficult to get any information out of her yesterday, but as you conduct this investigation as a member of these various committees, what have you learned?
Well, there's a whole lot that we've learned or that we suspect, okay? So we haven't learned as much as we would like. We have witnesses coming in. We've got whistleblowers coming in. But the major thing that we've learned, and this is irrevocable, and that's that the Secret Service, we had a massive failure there. Everybody in the country, everybody around the world knows that. And some of those failures are absurd in nature almost. Like my comments, you got a 20-year-old that's everybody's watching him. Not everybody, but there are enough people watching him, they could have prevented that and stopped it. There's supposed to be Secret Service at the windows. They're not there. They're supposed to be. Why isn't anyone at the highest elevation there, which is the water tower? We have so much that we need to have answered.
Yes.
But the biggest thing, Vince, is they screwed up in a major, major way.
They sure did. Yesterday, some members of Congress were bringing up the fact that there have now been multiple reports indicating that the Secret Service, the Biden administration, let's be clear about this, kept denying the Trump campaign the security requests that they made. Yesterday, Kim Cheatle tried to obfuscate that point. She suggested that specifically the July 13th event didn't include any denials. But that's a way of her dancing away from the fact that, yes, indeed, the Secret Service has repeatedly denied the Trump campaign the security that they deserved. What do we know about? Why is the Biden administration constantly denying his political opponent protection?
Well, there's at least four things that are related directly to that. Number one is she was trying to fine-tooth, get it through the eye of the camel by just saying, well, that particular day they didn't. The second thing is she refused to define and give us a number of how many times. We just know it was multiple times. And the problem with that is you put President Trump and his family and the crowd in danger every time you deny those. Third thing is she said, well, these were requests. They give us their request, and we adjudicate that. Here's the deal. Who's supposed to be the expert? Well, it's supposed to be the Secret Service. They're supposed to be the expert. And if they're the ones that are saying, well, they didn't ask for it just right. They didn't ask for a drone. They didn't ask for 2 drones, and we only gave them 1. Guess what? They're the experts. They're the ones who should be saying, look, we're going to need X and Y to really make sure everybody's safe. And that, to me, showed a huge problem. The fourth thing you've got on this thing is you got Benny Thompson, and this is reflective of where the left is today, wanting to remove all Secret Service from President Trump.
Yes.
That's where the left is. So those 4 things are all, in my opinion, interrelated.
Now, I wonder to what extent there are people above Kim Cheatle, the Secret Service director, who share Benny Thompson's sentiment that Donald Trump does not deserve Secret Service protection or doesn't deserve that much of it. Because I didn't watch the entire hearing yesterday, Congressman. I wonder if this came up at all. Did anyone ask whether or not there was anyone above her who directed the Secret Service to deny Trump security requests?
I don't remember that being asked. I don't think that was asked because we ostensibly she's the one making those calls.
You would think.
But I mean, yeah, but in the chain of command, next up from her is Mayorkas.
Yes.
And the next up from him ostensibly is Joe Biden.
Because they denied RFK Jr. Secret Service protection, a man who any American with two brain cells to rub together knows probably is entitled to it. And the obvious reason they did that was they didn't want to give him the look of a presidential candidate. They didn't want Secret Service there to make him appear presidential for fear that he would chip away at their support. These decisions have clearly been made politically in the past, Congressman, haven't they?
Yeah, and let me give you one more thing. The cost per month that Kennedy said it was, I want to say, was something like for his security was in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Well, what that does is not only do you not give the guy the adequate protection, the official protection, and
yes.
the appearance of an executive. What happens is you're bleeding his campaign. That's hundreds of thousands of dollars every month that he can't use to get his message out that would undermine Joe Biden. And then you look at it, a lot of that goes the same way with President Trump if he's having to backfill on security.
Yeah, and so after the Trump assassination attempt, Biden came out, or somebody in Biden's name, and said, "Oh, we're giving RFK Jr. protection now." Okay, so the president does actually call the shots on Secret Service behavior. So can we rule out that the White House didn't leave Trump vulnerable on July 13th?
No, I will not rule that. I will not rule that out. I will not rule that out.
Yeah. Just ask the families of the 13 troops who were killed in Afghanistan what White House decision making leads to. It's awful outcomes has been the history. And here I'm deeply worried about what's happening here. And for that matter, I'm worried about what the rest of the campaign looks like, Congressman, because I didn't hear Kim Cheatle say yesterday that she placed anybody on administrative leave. The people who are responsible with coming up with the security plan for Trump, why should they continue to be coming up with these plans as Trump continues to campaign?
She did just the opposite. She said not only did they not take any disciplinary action, she doesn't know that they would take disciplinary action. So yeah, I mean that gets the whole thing why she had to be removed from office, because if you're going to try to restore any kind of credibility, you can't have the person who has exhibited the grossest of negligence continue on.
Yes.
And by the way, when I say grossest of negligence, that's the nicest description I can give of her performance.
Well, from my perspective, I think they're guilty of negligent homicide. Corey Comparator would be alive today if the Secret Service had protected that roof, and they did not.
Yeah.
And that man is dead,
yeah.
and we just all need to constantly remember that fact. One of the elements of this shooting on July 13th that I think is important is the police scanner audio. Those local cops who did see the shooter, apparently when they fell to the ground, they instantly got on their radios and started making calls. I don't know what time they made those calls, Congressman. Down to the second. We haven't been told that, and we haven't heard any audio of any of this. Will Congress get that information?
Well, we haven't so far. We requested it immediately, the communications traffic, and so I reiterated yesterday, we want the communications traffic. I sent another letter because to the Secret Service, because you have to have the communications record, because that's going to tell you who knew what, when, and where, and it's going to help us explain why that hole didn't get filled. I mean, there's so many basic questions like, did the guy carry a gun up there, or was it already in place? Who didn't sweep the building? Because my guess is somebody missed a sweep. And there's all kinds of allegations going back and forth, but the communications is going to clear it up tremendously, which is why we want, for instance, the interview of Robert Hur, the special counsel of Joe Biden.
Yes.
Yeah, audio helps, brother. Audio helps.
Audio is a big deal. Let me move to your hearing tomorrow. You're also a member of the Judiciary Committee, Congressman Andy Biggs, and you will have Christopher Wray before you. This is the annual FBI oversight hearing that the Judiciary Committee does. I imagine most, if not all, of the questions are going to be about the FBI's apparent investigation into the events of July 13th. Now, the fact that the suspect is dead that kind of lends itself to Christopher Wray being forthcoming about everything he's finding out, doesn't it? Because we're not talking about a criminal defendant. The guy's gone. So just tell us what you know now, right?
One would hope, but he's going to say, like he always does, he's going to say, well, there's an ongoing investigation. And if we pointed out, well, the guy's dead, he's going to say, yeah, but there might be culpability on the part of maybe somebody else who was supposed to be executing duties to protect, that might be a problem. And we get to the other thing that, like I asked Cheatle, which she refused to answer, is did he act alone? Well, we aren't sure yet. And so I figure he's going to do what he always does, which is kind of, stonewall us a little bit on this
Congressman,
stuff.
do you have any reason to believe that Thomas Crooks was acting in concert with someone else?
Only rumors. There's no hard evidence on any of this yet.
Yeah.
So but I mean, it gets back to that weird point. He's 20 years old.
Yeah.
And he's acting alone. What, he just got radicalized himself, decided he was going to go shoot Donald Trump. I mean, that's really a bizarre conclusion.
It's all so very bizarre. I saw Senator Ron Johnson came out with a report today. According to local law enforcement, there were 8 shell casings found next to Thomas Crooks's body. The implication being that he fired 8 shots. That's a lot of shots to be firing very rapidly. And the Secret Service apparently had their eyes on the guy for a lengthy amount of time, and yet it still happened. Finally, Congressman, why was Trump allowed on that stage at all? Have we gotten any closer to getting that understanding? Because it seems like a lot of law enforcement officers were suspicious of this guy to the point they were taking photos of him.
Yeah, that's one of the weird things, because if you've traveled with the president or something like that, and I have a number of occasions to some of these events, if there's something going on, even a suspicious guy, not a threat, but a suspicious, or maybe there's a car that's maybe out of place or something, they'll say, we're going to hold you here. If there's a traffic problem, we're going to hold you here, and then you wait until it's cleared up, and usually it's cleared up very quickly. And but they chose not to hold him off, and that's one of the key questions: is why did they hold him off?
All right. Well, please give Christopher Wray hell tomorrow, and let's go. Hopefully we can get some answers out of this guy. Somebody's got to answer some questions. Oh, and by the way, are you going to try and have this new acting director of the Secret Service come in? Will the Oversight Committee try and do that pretty quickly?
I haven't talked to the chairman yet. It's interesting because I think he was one of the guys sitting right behind her yesterday. So I think we're going to want to talk to him too.
Yeah, that'd be good. Just like haul him in every other day. Okay, fine. You resign now. We'll bring in somebody else. That'd be excellent for getting some answers. Congressman, always good to talk to you. Thank you very much.